Well, we'll tell everyone. You
Uh,
can thank
Wait a
Creation
minute. It
Chaos.
says the title is invalid. Try changing it. What's up with
Ubisoft is
Twitch?
so effed. Oh, does Twitch
Oh,
not
because
like?
it's got maybe because it's got
It's
an
got a
asterisk.
bad word.
No, it
Ed.
can't be the bad word. It's
Ed,
so F.
your mouth. This is a family show. This is look. We have cats. We have animal mascots. You know what that is? That's a kid right there. This is for children.
So if you're watching us on YouTube, we are trying to get there. We go. Now we're on Twitch.
We are trying to
Apparently, I
expand
couldn't say F
GameHounds'
asterisk
we are
cked
we're
on
trying
Twitch.
to expand the GameHounds' fan base,
Yeah.
and naturally, we're going to target children.
You can have a naked woman in a hot tub, but heaven forbid you have a title that says F asterisk use cked exclamation point.
Oh yeah,
Ugh,
no naughty words.
Twitch.
What?
Twitch is, I mean, don't get me wrong. They're the best that we've got. Let's just say. But they're just so arbitrary, utterly arbitrary in everything. So, anyway,
Oh, is this? Oh, god damn it! Wait,
we're
is it?
back.
Can I?
Hi, I'm assuming that's chaos in the chat room. But hey, everybody, if you are just joining us, this is a GameHounds podcast. I'm getting to my banners. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done this because Nick was in where?
Sorry, I was looking for a clip, but the only clip available is on fucking Facebook events.
Yeah,
Come on, YouTube, you dropped the ball. Anyways, I was in Spain.
you were in Spain. So
Yes,
where in Spain?
specifically Madrid and Barcelona.
And
We
let's review. Hold on a second. Let's start the show. We're actually going to start the show this time
okay.
because why not, right? Let's start the intro.
This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology. And these podcasters are big fat potty mouths.
No, don't listen to that. We're
If you're
family
younger
show.
than 18 or are easily
Ignore that.
offended, please
No.
stop this podcast now.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
don't listen
and
to that.
your mom
Ignore him.
says to take out the trash and
That's
do your
true. Do
homework.
that.
If only
Yes, do
you
that.
took
Do
out the
that.
trash and did their homework. Hi, everyone. GameHounds podcast. I'm Edie Sellers, and with me is Nick DiCola. We're at GameHounds episode 737. We're recording this on Sunday, December 8th, 2024. One of the last few episodes of 2024. So what were we talking? Oh, we were going to review Spain.
Spain, yes. And I have to give a shout out to Andrew, Creation Chaos, who sent us a text a couple minutes ago that says, "Are you guys still going on today?" And that is what prompted us to start the show.
Right,
so
because we were talking. We were talking, and I was
Also, he says
I was bearing my soul about my situation, as you can see in the
you have
background.
where
I am. I'm still here because I'll pull up my everybody.
Also, okay. No, before you go anywhere, do you want a third?
A third what?
Host. Chaos is available now.
Absolutely.
You can work to bring him in.
Oh, right. Yes. I will invite him right now.
Okay. Well, you do that. I will talk about Spain. It was really good. It's the longest and farthest I have traveled in a very, very long time. So there was definitely like a lot of growing pains and just like, oh God, I gotta do this, gotta do this, and just the act of travel that I'm not used to. But thankfully, all the stuff that we did there was really, really good. We went to a bunch of really good restaurants, had a bunch of great food, saw a bunch of good museums, and just walking around the city too. Madrid, I think ultimately I ended up really liking Barcelona a lot more than Madrid. Madrid was nice, but the hotel we were staying at was just an old building, and it kind of had all the quirks that an old building does. But the coolest thing about both of the cities is how walkable they were. And it was just so nice to be able to leave the hotel, walk 30 minutes in a direction, find some stuff to do, then walk back, and then go out again and just walk 30 minutes in a different direction and find some stuff to do. And so we ended up going to a bunch of museums, walking a bunch of parks. They've got a lot of like really nice parks in both cities. I saw the Arc de Triomphe, which turns
Good.
out I thought it was in Paris. No, turns out it's not. It's in
No,
Barcelona.
no, it's not in Barcelona. The Arc de
Yeah,
Triomphe
yeah, it is.
is in Paris.
Nope, it's in Barcelona.
No, but Barcelona has another one.
Yeah, it has the one.
No, it doesn't have the one, and
Uh,
that's a very Spanish thing to say. It's like, "Oh, no, we have the Arc."
yeah,
No, you don't.
it was funny because our hotel was like right next to it.
Mhm,
And so we were kind of using that as a base. So like we tell a taxi, oh, drop us off at the Arc de Triomphe
mhm.
because it was easy walking distance. Um, but yeah, it was very good. Um, man, I think it was like the first time I had paella, which turns out paella is fucking awesome.
You've never had paella before?
I don't think so,
Oh my god.
but it was very good.
It is literally one of my favorite things in the world. I
Yeah.
will cut a bitch to get a good paella. And it's not that hard to make if you have the pan and you have the saffron. Not hard to
Yeah,
make.
it's just
I can make an absolute my cousin makes a paella that will blow your mind.
nice.
The best paella I
Yeah,
ever had was made by a man from Paris.
naturally. Yeah, did
Anyway,
that. We
so you've
also
never had
visited.
paella. It's good.
Yeah, had not. But had it there, and it was delicious. Like just what they do with the
It's
rice is so good.
oh,
So
it's the Arc
crispy.
de Triomphe with an F instead of
Yeah,
a PH.
oh, spelling. It
D
doesn't matter. Spelling doesn't matter.
Triomphe. Arc de Triomphe versus Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah. But then also we took a day trip out to Toledo,
Uh-huh.
which is a cool little city because it's basically an old Spanish castle that has just kind of been retrofitted into a city. And so in the end, it was a little hard because in order to get a taxi back to the train station, we basically had to run across the city because there's no taxis in the city. Because the city itself is a bunch of very narrow cobblestone streets. Every time a car was coming up, pedestrians were just like, well, okay, back up, get up against the wall, let the car pass. And it was kind of interesting seeing how a modern city needs to contort itself to fit into like an old literal castle, like medieval streets.
Mhm. Absolutely.
But people still live there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There was a point in time when I really wanted to live in the Moorish district in Spain because it's just fantastic. But yeah, it's just the roads are just
Yeah.
I mean, you have to remember those roads were laid down before the Romans came. It was the Romans that actually started roads that are square. That was one of their plans, and also roads that had a central area and arc out. Romans invented the roads that we use today. So much of what we have is really absolutely traceable back to Rome. But prior to Rome, you just put a road down where you wanted a road. You didn't actually think about like grids. Organization was not in the cards.
Yeah.
You knew where you were going because you knew where you were going. It was never like worrying about directions.
And then I'd say probably the coolest thing we saw was the Sagrada Familia, which
Mhm.
I didn't know. I thought it was just like a big church, and it is a big church. But the thing is, it's such a weird modern take on churches. It's like you have a very modern artist tackling a very old
Right.
form of architectural design. And it's so interesting to see like all of these, you've got all the I don't know all the terms of the church, but you've got all the traditional aspects of a Catholic church kind of reinterpreted through this modernist environmentalist lens. And I
Mhm.
kept thinking it felt like seeing an alien interpretation of like a Catholic church. It's like this is an elvish Catholic church. If Tolkien's elves made a Catholic church, this is what it would look like.
Right.
And it's very, very cool, both on the inside and the outside, visually. Excuse me. All the tall spires, and apparently also it's still under construction.
Oh yeah, it's like
It's
perpetually
still going. But yeah, very cool to see and walk around and just to like, because one of the things that I was thinking as we were walking through museums and all that was how, like, you go to a museum and you see the famous artists. You don't really have artists like that now, right? You don't have these famous architectural designers now. A lot of that feels, sorry, a lot of that feels stuck in history.
Right.
And so to see basically this church that's still under construction, it kind of helps bring all those ancient arts into the modern day, and you can kind of see, oh, there is still stuff like this being built. It's just much fewer and far between. But
Right.
when you do find something like that, like this, a very weird modern take on Catholicism and Catholic architecture, it's like, oh, this is fascinating. This is a view of like church architecture that you don't get to see because all the churches were built like a century ago.
Right.
No one's like gonna spend $1 billion creating a super elaborate Catholic church now, except
Certainly
they
not
are.
the Catholic Church.
except
They have their own things to spend money on, but that's a whole
Yeah.
other conversation.
Except that in this case they are, because they started long enough ago that it's still under construction, and
Right.
it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, that was really cool.
So yeah, this is where you were.
Yeah.
It still look like this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So you went and saw the Sagrada Familia.
Yeah, that's probably the coolest tourist thing that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, went to a bunch of great restaurants. Went to this one like tasting menu at this like Michelin star restaurant that was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
AC,
I think it's still
is my
good.
mic still acting up? I can hear you typing.
Yeah,
Well,
I can hear
that's not good.
I can hear some background noise.
I don't know. You're what you guys are talking about is too rich for my blood. Like, I'm never gonna make it to Spain, so like I don't feel like I can add anything.
You could absolutely make it to Spain. Hey, look. I don't want to leak what. Yeah, I'll talk to Nick and you about it offline. No, I won't put it out there in the public just yet. But there was an interesting development in the last couple of weeks.
Gotcha.
NH says some religious sects create giant pieces of worship and then don't let people take shelter during disasters.
Oh
Yeah, I've heard about all those. That one guy, I forget where. It's probably Texas.
Yeah,
Florida.
Florida. Okay, that also.
Of course, it was Florida. Why wouldn't it be Florida?
But yeah, Spain, really cool. I liked Barcelona more than Madrid because it kind of felt a bit more homey. Like Madrid was a city, and even though there's like a lot of Spanish influence in the architecture and stuff, it still felt modern. Barcelona has a bit of an older sensibility to it, and I don't know, it's just a kind of a nicer place to walk around.
Yeah, and you went to Toledo, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. We took a train there.
Oh, okay. What did you think of Toledo? Because that's a place I have always had kind of an affinity to.
That was cool. That was the place where, like, seeing the modern world try to fit into an old city.
Yeah.
Tons of shops selling swords.
Wasn't there famous for the walls of Toledo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like
the whole thing is along the walls. That's why
Right.
You can get a taxi going in really easily. Getting a taxi out is impossible.
It's like a literal tourist trap. You can get in, but you can't get out.
Yes.
Still in Toledo, still looking for a taxi.
Yes. And I think our next trip I will probably be better at, just because, like I said, it's been a long time since I traveled anywhere this far. And like, it's just, I gotta travel. I gotta pack this bag. I gotta do this. Oh shit, it's raining. We gotta change a plan. Oh shit, we do this. And it was just like, all this stuff getting in the way of our plans. And it's just kind of brought me down a lot of times. And then it was just at a certain point, and maybe it was the reason I like Barcelona better is because by the time we got to Barcelona, as we were leaving Madrid, I was like, okay, I need to kind of rethink my perspective on the travel and not let myself get so annoyed by the little inconveniences that come along. And so I think changing that made me enjoy Barcelona a lot more, just because it's like, okay, traveling into the country, like you kind of have to be prepared for minor inconveniences.
Yeah. And especially Spain, which is kind of a country of minor inconveniences.
I know, I like a lot of times I thought it was really great.
Yeah, it is a great country. I mean, we're also a country of minor inconveniences for everybody else as well. But traveling like that, and let me give you a little bit of like wedding advice, and you can pass this on to whomever, or if any of you out there are ever getting married, put this in your. You have to absolutely be type A personality before the day. You need everything planned down to the minute. You have to worry about every single detail. You have to just be like stress. At a certain point, and for me, it was maybe 3 days before, but certainly the day of your wedding / the day you actually arrive. After you've done all this planning in great detail, at that point, you have to say, nothing I can do now. Everything I just did is probably all going to go wrong, and I'm just going to go with the flow.
Yes.
Your wedding day, if you're stressing about all the plans and details and happening on the wedding day itself, you've done it wrong. Because there's nothing you can do on your wedding day to fix anything that goes wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe some other people can, like your bridesmaid or your best man or your mom or your dad, whatever. Maybe something can be massaged, but chances are it's all going to go wrong. It's all going to fail. Just hope that 50% of your plans go right. And the rest of the time, just work with it. Just go with it. That's what makes a wedding. That's what makes travel. If it was everybody had the same exact experience, it would be boring.
Yeah.
This is where the story.
And like I said, I think kind of coming to that realization is one of the reasons why I liked the latter city more than the beginning city, Barcelona more than Madrid. But I also kind of like Barcelona more than Madrid.
Right.
But yeah, definitely like changing the expectations and the frame of reference, just
You
being like,
turn off your brain at that moment. You're like,
just go with the
okay,
flow.
now not worrying about anything, just figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
It's a really hard to shift lanes, but it's like, hey, if we end up making all the plans that we plan to make, great. If we end up making none of them, oh well, we're going to do our best. We've done everything we possibly could. We laid all the groundwork as perfectly as possibly could.
Yeah.
From here on out, I mean, it's in, I hate to use the phrase, but it's in God's hands. It's
AC
just
got
going to
that right.
happen the way it happens.
AC got it right with, like, he understands.
What?
KS and I have to settle for watching Freddie Mercury sing about Barcelona. Look,
no. If you want to
disagree.
do that, here's the thing. Why I was super excited about Nick going to Spain, and he was telling me about all these things, because in my head, you know what I was visualizing?
Nick in Spain?
No, Crusader Kings.
Oh, jeez. Toledo.
I was thinking about all my campaigns in Spain.
Toledo is like the most Crusader Kings area because
Absolutely,
it's
because
still
that
an
is
old
one of
castle.
like the towns that is a big thing. If you get it, you get a massive bonus because of the walls of Toledo.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because they all the tourist shops really lean into that medieval history. There are so many shops selling swords and like fantasy weapons. We must have walked by like 24 stores with like a Kratos axe in the window.
Really?
Yeah,
and
because
you didn't buy one.
No, because like I'm not
How are you
gonna
gonna
buy.
get that home?
I'm not gonna buy a piece of video game memorabilia in an ancient like medieval city. It doesn't fit.
No, that's peak. Like, that's the best way to do it.
No. We did get some like nice little like stylish bowls that we can put on our shelves to kind of represent. Look, this is all Spanish vacation.
So now that you have been to Spain, can I make a recommendation for a K-drama for you?
Okay.
All right.
To be fair, I'm still trying to get through the fucking glory. I still have not restarted that.
Then stop. Then don't. If it's not going to happen for you, it's not going to happen for you. AC Wraith and I both know it's fantastic.
I will.
If it doesn't go, if it's not floating your boat, just abandon ship. But
what's the next one?
Try a movie called Memories.
I like movie.
I'm sorry, it's a series.
God damn it.
Memories of the Alhambra. And it is set,
I think you have mentioned this one to me before.
I have mentioned it before.
I have remembered it.
Right. It is really, really, really good. And on top of it, you are going to see it does play into the medieval history of Spain. It's going to be places you probably have seen or feels very familiar to you. It is a bit sci-fi, it is a bit fantasy, and it is so good. It is so good. So yeah, I would absolutely watch that. And I think that there's a it's what a cave drama romance element to it, obviously, but it's a very good story on top of it. I would absolutely have Rachel watch it with you.
Okay.
So yeah, and you're going to get to see a lot of places you either have seen or you almost saw, and you're going to appreciate it a little bit more because you've been to the Alhambra. You've seen these things.
Wait, what's the Alhambra?
The Alhambra is a area of, I believe, Barcelona.
Okay.
It's a very historical, like it's a main thoroughfare.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm watching this trailer, and for anyone who's listening, she put up like the trailer for this K-drama, and it's wild.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Sports, there's computers in your eye. There is
this guy manifested a sci-fi sword,
very modern looking HUDs,
all on the backdrop of some like classical romance, like subplot that's apparently there.
Yeah, so I would absolutely recommend watching Memories of the Alhambra. I really, really did enjoy that. There's certain element of suspension of disbelief. There's high fantasy, high sci-fi. It all goes together.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, look, sci-fi fantasy, that gets me more into it.
Yeah, so go watch that. You can start it tonight, and that's a show. That's a
I don't know if I can start it. I don't know if I can start it tonight. That's
a series.
A lot of other stuff to watch.
Well, no, just watch one episode. But that is a series that I think that you're going to like from episode 1. You're going to be in it in episode 1. But for episode 1, there's no like big build up. You have to wait for episodes to get there.
Okay.
All right. So
I'll put it on the list.
Let's talk about some games. What you say? I played a game. I played a lot of a game. A game that you would be surprised that I played. And I played it on a PC.
Is it not Dragon Age?
Diablo 4.
Okay.
So I recall, didn't we play Diablo 3 a bit on console?
Yes, we played it briefly. Like
Loli
you mean
really
Glory hopped in. Yeah. I thought it was okay.
I thought it was okay.
I never got into it.
I never got into it as a single, like doing it by myself. It was like playing with you guys. It was fun. And then when you started not playing, then I stopped playing.
Did you play it pre or post expansion?
Pre. I think I stopped playing just as the Necromancer was introduced. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'd love to play the Necromancer. But the problem with the Necromancer is it's super squishy and you didn't get your minions until level 10. So it was like, well, in order to be a Necromancer, you have to be in a party because you can't play yourself. And so I guess they've changed that, obviously. But it was all right. I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. Well, but it was all about really playing with somebody. It wasn't a game that I felt good playing by myself.
But now you have someone to play with.
Oh, well, yeah. Chris we wanted to play a game together. We were going up a bunch of games and I was like, remember I said, we could play Portal 2, we could play this. Finally, he's like, how about Diablo 4? I've played Diablo 4 already. And I'm like, well, I've kind of never played it. And he's like, well, they have this. Remember we talked about the last time we were on the show, we talked about how they were doing a Black Friday week, kind of everything was free trial.
Hey, see with Edie came
Yeah,
back to Diablo
exactly. That's the other thing is I'm going to
just
be
in
playing
time.
Path of Exiles
I
tonight.
I played 8 hours of Path of Exile 2 yesterday.
Okay,
Okay,
look,
good. 'Cause I wanna
Edie
find
can go,
out.
and then you can go.
Because I'm aware now of Path of Exiles 2, where I wouldn't have cared before, and both Chris and I are like, maybe we should do that. Yeah, I'm really enjoying Diablo 4. Want to play it solo. Happy to I'm playing a necromancer, a minion necromancer. Absolutely loving it. Really enjoying the whole experience. It's obviously a little more complex than I remember. It's obviously because, of course, the last time I played it was pre-expansion Diablo 3. It's much more complex, much more systems you have to understand that they don't make readily apparent. I'm having to ask Chris, like, okay, what are these things? And it's like, oh, you have to pick these up. You only get them in this area. You have to pick them up, and then you use those to open these chests. And if you don't use them within an hour, they all disappear. It's like, oh, well, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, that seems like something you want to know about.
Yeah. So little stuff like that. But absolutely loving it. Was playing it at 1 up until 1:30 today, and I was supposed to be prepping for the show at 1. And as soon as I get off the show with you, you know what I'm going to go do? I'm going to go play Diablo 4. It's really, really good. So if anybody wants to play Diablo 4 with me, please let me know. I'm trying to play it as much as I possibly can. The fact that I'm playing it on a PC that is a pretty high-powered PC and on a OLED TV.
You
I'm
got
sure
an
that
OLED
helps.
TV? Oh, OLED.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was here when I went over my love for OLED, but I don't know if I have done it on the show yet. But OLED is amazing,
OLED
and
is
it's expensive.
It's
And
expensive.
if you can get one, you should get an OLED monitor
Yeah.
or TV.
Yeah.
It's a different experience.
Hey, Chaos, do you want a 75-inch non-OLED script TV? Because there's one right there
I'm
behind
good.
that couch there that we can get rid of.
Hey, you say 75-inch, and I'm immediately interested.
Do you want it?
I don't know what I would do with it, but sure. No, you know
Nick
what?
likes it big.
I do.
It's non-OLED.
For Christmas, my dad asked for a small TV for the garage.
It just show up with that one. It's
But it's
small to
non-OLED.
you.
It's not OLED. That was the thing.
He doesn't care about
Upgraded
that.
to OLED.
He doesn't care about it. He just wants something to watch.
Does he want a small TV?
Yeah.
This is not only a small TV, it comes with a digital antenna that allows you to get all local channels for free.
Oh, okay. I should show with that. Here's a new TV for the garage. This 75-inch,
and you don't have to pay for cable to use it.
Listen, I will. To use a modern term, glaze for OLED all day long. But truth be told, you don't need an OLED TV. The difference between a normal good TV and an OLED TV is 20% better.
Oh yeah, if
it's just the blacks are very, very black, the whites are very, very white.
If you're just watching
just
television,
so rich,
you don't really need it. But if you're playing video games, if you're trying to watch movies and you want the 4K movie, then absolutely. If you're the type of person who has a Blu-ray player, then you should have an OLED TV.
The best way I can describe it is it adds depth to whatever you're watching.
Yes.
In a way that it's hard to imagine. It's almost 3D in the way that it adds depth.
Yes.
And it's hard to go back.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. It has occurred to me that at a certain point I'm going to have to go back to my TV, which is 1080p.
Yeah, no, getting you to get 1080p was hard, Edie. You had 720 for
I was 720i, not even p. 720.
Oh,
nice.
God,
So,
you're hurting me.
For years, I was like that. And I only switched up because it broke. It started to like the lines of pixels started to die, and it started to like get the the black gutter of broken pixels started to get bigger and bigger and bigger at the end of the screen, and then it started folding over on the top of itself, and it's like, okay, all right.
Okay, AC Wraith brings up the
Yeah,
CRTV.
I gotta commend you. He says my housemate wants our old CRT TV gone. I don't mind, but I have no option for my old consoles without it. You know, those old consoles I haven't hooked up in years but want the option of. Dude,
Those-
I have a old Xbox. My parents moved recently, and so naturally I helped them move and picked up some stuff to keep, one of which being the box of Steel Battalion controllers. I also have an old Xbox in the top shelf of our closet. I don't have a CRT TV. I have no method of playing those games. So AC Wraith, I need to commend you for at least keeping a CRT TV available. You have gone like where I couldn't. I keep the consoles, but I don't keep the TV. You've at least kept the TV.
Nick,
Also,
Nick, can you in your will or express to your parents and Rachel, if anything happens to you, it would devastate me, it would traumatize me, might never recover, but
it'd be easier with an Xbox.
please leave me the Xbox and the Steel Battalion, because I will I do have a CRT TV, and I will hook that bitch up.
At some point, I know that I can get a connection to mimic the old RGB cables with the modern HDMI.
Yeah.
But I've heard that old content on a CRTV, like it's built for a CRT TV. Like there isn't a different way to play it. Like keep it AC or sell it. Like apparently, depending on the type, they can go for pretty good money now. Like
Really?
they come back in old games.
Because I have actually an old CRT, and they were very good, Commodore monitor. Those were really quite good CRTs for especially for gaming.
Maybe you can sell the CRT so that you can afford to buy an OLED.
No, I don't want that. I'm going to keep that. I'm absolutely going to keep at least one of them.
Okay.
She says at least one.
At least, yeah.
That's how I met Kevin Sellers, my late husband, was because I sold one of them to Kevin 1.0. And then we started dating for 3 years, and I met Kevin 2.0 through him and ended up marrying him. So it all started with a Commodore monitor.
It all started with a TV.
With the CRT. Yes, Diablo 4 and Path of Exiles.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
Diablo
going
4,
to be playing. Both Chris and I have been watching the news and about how like 1 million concurrent players on Path of Exiles on Steam right now. It's insane what's going on with that. So honestly, I'd rather back up my games and play with them. True. But you can't do that with Steel Battalion.
So I bought Diablo 4 when it first came out.
Yes, make sure they know if something happens to you, I will cry a lot. But please leave me. I want your Xbox and Steel Battalion controller.
Sure.
And make your Wii come back to her.
Like, no.
You can have the Wii U.
No, you, as part of the requirement of getting Steel Battalion, you need to take the
Oh
Wii
my
U
God.
back.
So I had a friend who there was this family thing called the chicken dish. And it was this big serving plate in the shape of a chicken. And it had been handed around the family for literal decades and multiple generations, that somebody got the chicken dish every year from somebody else. Whoever had it, they wrapped it and gave it to somebody else in the family. And that was the thing, is that ugly chicken dish just circulated the whole family every year. And it's like, it became like, I don't want the chicken dish, to somebody's like, oh, am I going to get the chicken dish this year? Am I going to get it?
Well, it's a free
gift.
That's
what that Wii U is.
Yeah.
Just circulate it around. But the thing is, you have to give it to somebody else in the family the next year.
Look, I know what your Christmas present is.
The Wii U crawled desperate and bloody on the ground so that the Switch could run. It has a history.
Yes. It did.
Yes, it need that. The Wii U needed to happen in order to.
It's a product of history. It has an important historical context.
That's true. You know, not every evolution of man between Lucy and us was a success.
Exactly,
but it needed to have
evolutionary dead end. Ooh, that's interesting.
It's the duck-billed platypus. It's around, but it doesn't work very well, and it shouldn't be.
In 100 years, it's going to be in a museum as the only Wii U remaining, as they found it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, speaking of that, so you know, my family owns a strip mall, right? And that
learning it now.
I do now.
Owns it's not. I mean, it's a strip mall. It's not. It sounds like it's big. It's not. It's like 4 units, right? Okay. One of them was a carpet place. One of them is a mechanic, and one of them is Big O. And the fourth one, for the last 3 years, has been rented by a company that wants to turn it into a cannabis shop. And it's been a very, very, very long process for them getting their permits and everything. So finally, they got their permits. But one of the conditions of the permit is that they had to buy out the lease of the mechanic, because they need to use his unit as employee parking, because there's not enough parking places for having a cannabis store.
Do you
That's what the city made them do.
Employee parking for a weed shop?
I think it's the idea that you're going to have so many customers that
there's not enough parking spaces in the parking lot.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we had this tenant that has been there for 25 years, started his business there, always been there. He's moving out. What did AC Ray say?
It took me a while. I was like, wait, what is he talking about? And then I remembered your auction.
It was 1 unit. They opened the doors at 3.
Nice.
By the way, I still have
a good callback.
Hey, AC Ray, do you want a turkey?
Yeah,
I have your address. I can fucking ship you a turkey whether you like it or not, bitch.
You didn't sell the turkeys during Thanksgiving?
I didn't. I had other things to do. I had other things to do. I have my bathroom being torn up, literally torn up over Thanksgiving. Plus, I have a unit for a cannabis store that's being torn up over Thanksgiving. Plus, I have a tenant that has been there for 25 years moving out, and his unit's being torn up over Thanksgiving. My Thanksgiving was chaotic.
Sounds like a lot of people who'd want turkeys.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway,
okay, yeah,
getting to the back of the story of the reason why I get that set up. I get a text from my brother. Now, the mechanic's moving out. He's been there 25 years. And my brother says to me, hey, so while Brian was cleaning out his back storeroom, he found a barely used mint condition Nintendo Gen 1 in the box, which is also in mint condition, and all the original paperwork. What do you think it's worth?
A lot.
Jesus.
And I'm like, are you
$10?
Nintendo 64? Are you talking about like the early Nintendo? Early Nintendo? He never replied. And I have got to find out which one it is.
Listen, Edie, regardless, you say $10 and you buy it from him. You don't question it.
You know what I'll do is I'll just say, I don't know. Let me take a look at it. I'll go over there. I'm going to take a look at it, and I'm going to let me test it out and run it through its paces, okay? Because I've got the equipment to do it.
Yeah.
What TV? No. Oh, CRTV. You're right. You got
Nintendo 64s are not worth very much. The Nintendo Entertainment System, the originals, are.
I mean,
they can be
fresh in box. Anything can be a collector's item,
right? And I said, does it have any games? Because that's the thing that I was looking for. I'm like, were there any games with it?
I mean, I think Super Nintendo came with Mario, so would it?
Yeah, but there's a couple of other games that are.
Anyway. Slight tangent. That reminds me of the fact that as a kid, I actually had a copy of Action Comics #1.
What?
The first appearance of Superman with him holding the VW Beetle on the cover and throwing it?
Yes.
I had a copy of that comic. It wasn't in good condition. But I distinctly remember as a kid, there was an arcade, and one of the things you could buy with tickets were stacks of comics, just random ass comics. And I would go and buy those and get like 10 random ass comics and read them. And I had no idea what was going on in any of them. And I have a very distinct memory of flipping through and finding this old comic and like flipping through it and being like, this writing sucks. This art sucks. This is old and dumb. This is bad. And just like tossing it in a pile. I have no idea what happened to it. It's gone. It's not in our storage room anymore. All those comics got something is gone. I have no idea where it went. But it was only like 15 years later that, I saw that comic at something and it triggered that memory of like, oh shit, wait a minute. I recognize that cover. And so I will always remember, yep, that's the one with him with the VW Beetle. Well, I guess that's not a Beetle. That's just an old-timey car. But I've always thought it was a Beetle.
No, it wasn't a Beetle. That was a Studebaker.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that. I distinctly remember having that comic in my hands.
That's not real. This is one. Oh, granted, it's a 9.6, so it's almost in near perfect condition.
Yeah, no, mine was not perfect. It had wrinkles all over it. I've got it from an arcade.
The reprints from 1987 are $42.
Yeah, just as a kid reading it and going, "This is dumb. I don't like this," and tossing it away.
All right.
Yeah, these are all reprints. There's only one original on there, and it is a 9 point. There we go. Number 242, first appearance, and it's got a 0. Oh, that's not even the original one. This is number 242 at a 0.5 condition, which means it's barely holding together, and it's $600.
Yeah.
Okay, so my turn to jump on the regret collectible bandwagon. When I was in high school, I had a collection of Pokemon cards that were the first generation of Pokemon that when we were collecting, and we had been moving this around for a decade at this point, in my family as we moved from house to house, and towards my junior year of high school, so 2008, I gave it to a friend to give to his little brother. And inside had a holographic Charizard, first edition.
Oh, isn't that that was one of the first big rare cards?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
All these cards blew up once Pokemon Go came out at the time. So it was 6 years down the road that they became more valuable. But yeah, it was almost a complete collection of the first generation, and not all of them were first edition, but a lot of them were.
Yeah.
And yes, there was a holographic Charizard in there. And that alone is if you get the right one, $5,000, $10,000.
The things we give away, and naturally, all the stuff you keep thinking it's gonna appreciate in value does not.
Yes. And they lost it. They lost the binder of it.
So Chris is one of those people, bless his little heart, saved all of that stuff. When he was 8 years old, he loved baseball, absolutely loved baseball, collected all the baseball cards and kept them all in very good condition in books. And when he was 8 years old, he was so enamored with baseball that he went back to would send 8x10 postcards, would find out the addresses of all the old players, Hall of Fame players and stuff, where they lived. And he would send them an 8x10 card, and blank, and a letter, and so a self-addressed stamped envelope to these players to say, "Hi, I'm 8 years old, and I just think that you were great, and I really want an autograph. Can you sign an autograph and send it back to me?"
Aw.
He has Jackie Robinson's autograph.
Oh, wow.
He has the autographs of all three DiMaggio brothers. He has a book, several books this tall, of the Negro League players, the great Negro League. He has all of them. He still has them. He brought that out to me and showed it to me right when we first started dating. And I looked, and it also his baseball card. Yes, he does have a Jackie Robinson rookie card. I looked at his baseball card collection and I'm like, I I cannot believe that I am seeing what I am seeing. I kind of don't know. My brain cannot wrap around what I have just seen, and that I'm sitting in front of it. I'm holding it. It is like,
you know how much it's worth?
Given what I have seen, a lot.
No, does he know? He knows it's worth a lot, right? Or did? Okay.
I don't know if he's ever had it. He's never had it appraised, but
okay. You can assume though that it's worth a lot.
It's definitely going to put his daughter, his grandchildren, maybe even the great-grandchildren through college.
It's kind of a sad thing. We should probably go back to games at some point.
Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, let's talk.
One last thing. It's kind of sad because a lot of the value that's come from these cards, baseball cards, Magic cards, or Pokemon cards, they happened organically, and I don't think that they can happen again. And same with like comics. Like when those came out, no one imagined them being valuable. And today, when new stuff is printed, everyone assumes it will be valuable at some point.
That's why it's the stuff that doesn't get printed that actually becomes valuable. The stuff that people think gets valuable isn't, because they make too much of it.
Exactly.
Right. The Otani I was looking for Christmas. He'll never say it. I was looking at Christmas presents for Chris and was thinking I wanted to get him an Otani baseball card from this year when he hit the 500 baseball of 500, whatever it was. Anyway, you have no idea how much people are asking for these cards, and it's like, you know what? I mean, he's great. Don't get me wrong. He could be possibly the greatest baseball player that ever lived, but that's an awful lot for a card that literally came out of a pack this year.
Well,
like
also
3 months ago.
You have to consider scalpers. Like speculation pricing is everyone buys those cards because they think they're going to be valuable, so the price skyrockets. And then a year they realize, oh, actually, no one really wanted these.
Yeah. So I've got, I did get him a card that is a, special card, limited edition, low number of a low run, meaning there's only 50 cards and it was level, number 13 of 50.
Nice.
So I know that it's not one of those like, a million of them out there. But, it's, I paid for it way more than I was anticipating paying for a Christmas present for someone that I've been dating 7 months. But
you get to play on an OLED TV, so it's worth it.
Yeah. Last collectible story. AC Wraith says, I gave away all my first generation Transformers to one kid. The guy ended up living out of a car for a while, and I kept wondering why he didn't manage to sell them.
Ooh. Yeah. All right, but games.
Anyway.
Okay, yes, games. Path of Exile, Diablo 4.
Path of Exiles, we will absolutely talk about next week.
How is Diablo 4?
Diablo 4 is fantastic.
Did you enjoy playing it?
Absolutely. I want you to shut up so I can go back and play it.
Okay.
I have been a good
show.
To play this game. Like when I have anything to play, I literally choose Diablo over Veilguard, over Dragon Age.
I was going to ask, how is Dragon Age going?
Dragon Age is very good, but then I played Diablo and it broke me.
Okay.
My issues aside with Diablo, like not to kick Veilguard why it's down, but that's always the problem I saw with Veilguard was just that it's good, it's technically good, but there's so much that is like better, right? Like it's in a time where you can go play anything and have a great time.
There's also a lot of good things coming out.
Yeah. There, and we'll talk about that in the news. There's, man, get all of the games that you've wanted to play, get them out of your, and they're out now. Get them out of your system right now, because February is coming.
Yeah.
It's looming.
It is looming large, and it is not going to be pretty. I mean, it's going to be very pretty. That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we've done that, is there anything else we want to talk about before we hit the news?
And no, I've just been playing more Metaphor and Unicorn Overlord. I just did those on Unicorn Overlord on the plane, Metaphor when I got home. Still working through those things. Still cool, still really enjoying them. And I gotta say that emulator, the Odin, it's so good on planes. It's so awesome. It feels good. It's portable, and like the breadth of things I have to play on it is huge. Yeah, very cool. But that's kind of all I've been doing. Same
old. I went back and played the PS4 Spider-Man. I've been playing that on PC. Because Spider-Man 2 will be coming to PC in January. For anyone who was waiting for that to come to PC. I've been finding myself playing a lot of the old PlayStation single-player stuff, or like just older games. I haven't really been playing a whole lot of new games lately, except Path of Exile 2 last night, and I guess Marvel Rivals.
So let's talk about Path of Exiles.
Oh yeah, you don't need to keep Spider-Man up there. Everyone, if you haven't played Spider-Man, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, it's 8 years later.
Also, come on, have some respect for Peter Parker. It's Spider-Man.
True, Edie.
Fine.
They did change the character model for the Spider-Man game in the remaster, which was
right.
Weird.
Yeah, I remember that was.
All right, for everyone listening, she put up Spider Dash, the word man,
Spider Dash man.
Word.
Yeah, Spider Dash man. Yeah.
Parentheses PS4.
That's good. Yeah, I remember when that controversy was a thing. I had forgotten about that.
It's weird. I don't know. I mean, they have their reasons, but it's odd to me, at least, because I played it on the PlayStation 4. Anyways, not important.
Path of Exiles 2. Tell me about it. Tell me, should I stop playing Diablo 4 in order to play Path of Exiles 2?
Okay, I did not like Diablo 4 when it first came out very much. I played the beta. I enjoyed it. I got the full game. I was kind of disappointed. In a lot of ways, it felt a little shallow, and maybe that's changed because it's been like a year and a half. I forget when the game launched.
Yeah, and they have the new expansion out, and
I hear that's good. That's really good.
It's really good.
The new character being incredibly overpowered, unless they
incredibly overpowered. That's what Chris is playing. The what is it called? Spirit Bender, Spirit Caller, something, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I can't speak to modern Diablo 4. Now, PoE 2, it has a few connection issues. Like I had a few hang up on loading screens where it wouldn't just infinitely loaded, and disconnected a couple times when trying to play with friends. Outside of that, it is dripping with quality. Like, this is not just an early access. This feels so good, and it feels so good to play. I am genuinely impressed. And I've only been playing the one class, which is Sorcerer. And already off the bat, like, there's not a lot of spell interactions, but, like, you could throw down a flame wall, and then you throw, like, another fireball or ice spikes or something through it, and they catch on fire. And then they hit other enemies for cold and fire damage or electricity damage. And little interactions like that are really cool. Playing with friends, a lot of fun. It's just good. It is probably the best ARPG that I've played. And it has really good controller support. It has WASD movement so that you're not like left clicking to move everywhere, which most ARPGs have. That's how Diablo moves around, I think.
Yeah. Which I kind of love left clicking, but that's just me.
It looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. All the effects are really nice. I don't know what to say. The build craft is pretty. It looks like it's going to get intense. You can modify your spells, which come in gems, eventually into 5 different ways. So, like, it could chain more. You can throw down an extra one, or like it does smaller AoE, but more damage in that AoE area. And you can adjust, like, you can put 6 of these modifiers on a spell eventually. And so you could be using Fireball, but it'll be a drastically different Fireball than somebody else was if they're playing the same class. Good. I don't know. It's worth $30. It's worth $60 in the early access that it is now. And I've seen that they have I've heard a 35 to 40 hour campaign while doing like the side quests and taking your time. And then there's an end game already attached to that. Like that you can continue to spend more time in. They released a full game and said it was early access. That's what took so long to come out.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a good idea to do, but it's also, they did that with Minecraft. Minecraft was in early access or in beta.
Yeah, I mean,
like
they kind of did it with Baldur's Gate. Like they released all of Act 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is a very substantial amount of game.
Yeah.
And yeah, eventually this will be free to play. So if you just want to wait, know that you have something great coming down the pipeline eventually.
That makes me nervous because if it's free to play, that means isn't it going to be a microtransaction hellscape?
Cosmetics. The biggest thing being maybe stash tabs, but you can play the entire game without any of that stuff. Like the microtransactions, I will say, are a bit expensive. Like an outfit that I bought on sale, you can't see it, but I'm using quotation, like finger quotations.
Right.
Was like $30, which is pretty steep. That being said, none of that's needed, and the gameplay is fun on its own. And by the time you might be considering stash tabs, you're already late into in-game, where you might decide that it's okay to put like money down on this game. And it's like $15 to get like as many as you ever need for that. Yeah, no, it's fun. They added a roll mechanic, and like there is the sense of threat that if you don't actually dodge abilities, you'll die. So like it's in a way it's more Dark Souls in that you actually have to pay attention to the damage you're taking, and stuff is generally harder.
Oh, I'm gonna hate this game. It's gonna be way too hard for me. I can already tell, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Chris is gonna love it.
But yeah. Microtransactions are basically all just cosmetic, outside of stash tabs and inventory stuff. And you're late in game by the time that matters, if you want to keep playing. And you still don't need that. And in Path of Exile 1, there were ways to get some of the microtransaction currency in game by doing challenges and stuff. So if that ever comes out, there might be a way to get that stuff for free also. Yeah. They handled generally the free-to-play model for the first one. Everyone seemed okay with. And I don't see them, especially with what the effort they put into this game, ruining that for this one.
Yeah, like if you have a good model, stick with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
And it doesn't seem like they cheaped out like in anything in this. Honestly, it's kind of nuts how good this early
It looks gorgeous.
It is insanely gorgeous. But yeah, if you're at all interested, get it. Not even you can buy the $30 one to get a key to the early access, and then they give you $30 of in-game currency. So literally, you're just getting access to the game and the currency with it. $60 gets you a set of cosmetics, and then $60 worth of in-game currency. So
you get your money back in theory. I mean,
yes. Basically, you're not paying for the game or the early access if you buy these. Like you're buying the access to play, but like you'll get the in-game currency to spend in-game as well.
Right.
And if you bought any of like the stash tabs or cosmetics, all of that will eventually be ported over from 1 to 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so Path of Exiles. I'll probably give it a try.
Yes, I recommend it 100%.
Yeah. All right. So anything else you want to talk about?
Yes, AC. Lots of dirts and bugs. It is amazing.
Dirt and Bug Simulator.
I did play.
Also, the first game was free to play as well, but people loved it on its own.
Yes, absolutely. I played Marvel Rivals. If you guys want to hear about that.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Because
I've
heard good things about it, but it's
so that we can sort this out.
Okay. It also looks like such an Overwatch ripoff.
There we go.
Exile, yeah.
Style. Singular. All right. So, Marvel, what was it?
Marvel
Rivals.
So it's that Marvel's Overwatch-esque game.
Right.
Outside of some disconnecting bugs, once again, another game that's surprisingly polished in a lot of ways. Mostly good.
Is this one free to play, or is this just Is it an early access free to play, or was it just released free to play?
I am pretty sure it was released free to play.
Okay. Yeah, not early access.
If you give me 1 second, I can double check that.
I'll check it for you.
Okay. Yeah, so visually, once again, I hate to get hung up on that because like it's not gameplay, right? But there seems
visuals matter.
It was launched as free to play.
Okay.
They did not seem like they were lazy about making the game look very nice. It runs pretty competently. Like performance has been pretty good. No stutters or anything like that. It's not Overwatch exactly. It's a little bit more faster paced, I feel like, than Overwatch. Maybe that some of that's just team play hasn't really worked itself out. It's good. I mean, if you're looking for this kind of game and you want to play a Marvel version of it, I think. I mean, there is no other option, but I don't think you'd be disappointed with this option, if that makes sense.
You're saying it's not going to be the next Concord?
No, I think between the IP and just the general well put togetherness of the game, it's not gonna fail. I would find it hard pressed to fail, but I also think that if you really like Overwatch, this game doesn't do anything that would take you away from it. Does that make sense?
Like the IP is the big draw.
Yes. Combat's fun. The kits are interesting, but if you've ever played these kinds of games, it's every version of this game takes kits from other games and just mashes it up and gives it to other people. Like they just started handing out random bits.
Which may be like what you need to do to break into this space is to basically rip off another game enough that anyone who likes playing that game would probably enjoy playing this game.
That's the whole.
But then you add in.
That's when you start getting just the iterating of exactly the same game.
Exactly. But then you add in just enough of a little difference to like the Marvel IP. You get just enough of a little difference to give it a little unique twist, and maybe that will bring people over. Like you can't make something completely new.
I hate.
You got to give them familiar.
That means it's just regurgitative, and I really hate that in games.
They
tried to do their own, unique thing, and it was a horrible, horrible misfire.
This is made by Nexus or Nexies. Maybe that's the wrong company. They're known for stuff like Maple Story. They're known for they make a lot of the mobile ports of games. Like I think they're responsible for Destiny 2's more mobile.
Okay, yeah, they're doing that one. Did they do the Naraka Blade Point?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. They're responsible for a lot of mobile games, is I guess what I'm trying to get at. And from what I've seen, a lot with like outside of what the devs have done here, which has been pretty good.
No, that's I'm thinking NetEase, not Nexus.
Oh, NetEase is the correct answer. Like that's the one.
Oh, okay.
Nexus, I think, makes all the PlayStation ports, which is why that popped in my head. But yeah, NetEase made this game.
Yeah, NetEase does a lot of these.
I wish I had more strong things to say. The thing that, like, it's interesting because if you have certain heroes that team up with you, for instance, if you have, like, Adam Warlock, and then you choose either Star-Lord or Mantis, like someone else chooses them, they can self-revive. Because that's Warlord's thing. Is like or Warlock's thing, Adam Warlock. He can revive people and return them from death. But if you're playing one of those two characters, you just get that passively now. Once every, like, 2 minutes. So you can kind of plan your team around certain comps, like certain setups. That's interesting. I'm not sure how game-changing those will be. And I think if they are too game-changing, I'm pretty sure they're going to get nerfed eventually.
Yeah, probably. But I like that idea, right? I like the idea of there being kind of mechanical synergies between two characters that make sense for the fiction. Because with Marvel, the fun of anything like comics related with these characters is like, how do you play off each other? That's what the Avengers was so much fun, is let's see these larger than life personalities interact with each other. That's what makes any superhero thing cool, is the crossover. And so I like that they did that. That it seems like necessary. You can't make this game without that mechanic. I feel like there's no point to it.
Yeah, and like the dialogues, like they have little quips at the beginning, depending if you have like whoever characters you're using, that are pretty fun.
Yeah.
I wish I had more that I could say about this. It's free to play, and if you were wondering if you should try it, like absolutely try it.
You have nothing to lose when it's free to play like that. It's like the worst thing that happens is you hate it.
And even then, like I don't think you would if you like these kind of games. It's well put together. It's very nice. The kids are fun for the most part. There's a little shark dude named Jeff.
No, Jeff.
Yes, he's a little shark, and he can like eat everyone. And like last night, we had somebody like eat 3 of us, like an enemy Jeff, and then just jump off a cliff, like killing all of us. But no, it's a fun time. But if you get friends, all the better. We will see where this game goes, but nothing about it feels like bad quality. And there's 33 heroes at the start, which is a fair amount for a game like this.
Yeah, that seems. I mean, I'm looking at the what we're watching on screen, and there's a lot when he dies, and he can choose, whatever character he wants to come back as. It's a massive scroll wheel of characters.
Yes, there is abundance of DPS characters compared to tanks or support characters, and everyone wants to play the DPS characters because it's a Marvel game where you play as a superhero. Everyone wants to be the fighter. Like, no one wants to be the tank or healer in a game like this.
I love being the healer in games like these.
Yeah, and like all the healer kits are pretty unique. They don't often feel like just classic like white mage healer, or like one character has to be like hitting people with ice powers to heal other people.
Right.
One person, can throw on heals, but also buffs, and that's like the classic healer. Loki throws out clones and then makes healing fields around them, so you kind of have to plan where your clones are.
Be right back.
Yeah. In the chat, AC Wraith mentioned that it has Squirrel Girl. And he's not sure how she's balanced because she's kind of goofily like overpowered.
You don't worry about balance in a game like this, all right? Like when the Punisher can just shoot Hulk and Hulk eventually dies, you try not to worry about that.
To a certain point, yes, yeah. You can't get too accurate with like the powers, and because yes, Hulk is so overpowered that you can't actually put him in a video game with other characters and have it be balanced.
Yeah, I mean, like on screen right now, they're choosing Black Widow, who just has a sniper rifle.
Yeah,
and who's killing gods. Like, don't think about it.
Unless you go the what was the DC game, the fighting game?
Not sure.
Injustice.
Oh, Injustice. Oh, yeah.
The Injustice route of like, oh yeah, all the non-superpowered characters like took a pill that made them superpowered, and that's why they can fight Superman.
True. You're right. I always thought that was a goofy, like...
It's all goofy. It's got to be goofy.
And AC Wraith, it's kind of funny. Squirrel Girl, I heard like a dialogue as she was running up. She's like, yeah, I beat Thanos, Dr. Doom, and Galactus. Who's going to beat me?
That's
Although I don't... Good.
No, I'm just saying, that's it. I like the little quips like that. That's fun.
No, I wish I had a more succinct like review of this game. But it's everything you've seen before.
Yeah, based on what I've read, it's like, yeah, you kind of know... If you've looked at it, you kind of see everything there is to see, but it does that really well with enough, like I said, enough fresh twists that it kind of doesn't. It's not the Overwatch ripoff that everyone kind of thought it would be, because it adds just enough Marvel flavor to stand out.
Yeah, no, you're playing this for the Marvelness of it, I think. That being said, is there balance issues and stuff? I couldn't tell you, because I feel like that kind of conversation needs a high level of understanding of a game before you can decide if something's even close to being unbalanced, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That is not something I have in great quantity right now. I've only played it for a few hours.
Well, I expect to hear more about it at a later date then, which means you have to come back.
Well, now I feel trapped.
You are trapped.
I'm just never going to leave this chat. I'll be here till the next podcast.
Yes, please do. All right. So anything else we want to talk about before we close this out?
You mean close out like what we've been playing?
I mean, sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah. Go to the news is what I meant.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't have anything else.
All right. Then let's hit the news. Damn it. What?
You guys I forgot to mention.
Hold on a second. Oh, go ahead.
Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. It's a Ubisoft game.
Oh, hold on. Oh, did you have another game you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, just really quick.
Oh, all right. One more.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was okay.
It came out like a year and a half ago.
No, it came out in January. I bought it. I played it. I know.
Was it? Was it a year ago then?
What game?
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Right.
You played it?
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. I've been playing it on the Steam Deck, and I think that is a great place for that game. I loved Prince of Persia to begin with, like the old games. I saw the preview for this, and I thought, this is going to kind of suck, but I heard good things. And then it came out on Steam, and I eventually bought it. It's a pretty awesome game. I love it. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah,
Call it 8 out of 10.
I can respect it. I feel like it's a good game, but I think I just run into my kind of issues with Metroidvania games. The backtracking, the kind of, oh, what's this? Oh, I can't go here yet. And then having like kind of fight my way through the same groups over and over again. I played it. I enjoyed it, but then I thought, I'm not going to put in all the time to beat it. I can respect it more than I
want to play it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? Fair enough. If you don't like Metrovanias, I don't think this is going to change your opinions. I'm not a big fan of them, but playing this one, I've probably liked more than any other that I've played, to be fair. Part of it is because it's very anime and over the top compared to a lot that I've played. And once again, it's a game that seems to really care about its visuals and what it was trying to do.
Yeah,
and then Ubisoft...
Cool. Combat is really cool.
Sorry for cussing, but fuck Ubisoft. They dismantled the team that made this game.
We will be talking about
before it got a chance to even come to Steam or sell. And we will talk more about their aversion to Steam having ended a lot of good projects. And now that they're coming to Steam, it's almost insulting and frustrating. And we'll talk more about that.
Yes, we will. In fact, any other games you want to talk about before we go into that?
No. Buy this game if you like Metrovanias. $20 on sale. Good time.
Good times. All right. Now, let's hit the news. This is the GameHounds news, the news and commentary of the week in gaming with gamer Edie and Nikki Nicola. And our first item is let's talk about Ubisoft. Shall we? Yeah. Ubisoft is fucked right now.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. They're not fucked because they might get bought, and that makes everyone happy.
True.
Well, yes and no. Let's go into it. First off, do you want to talk about XDefiant first, or?
Sure, XDefiant's getting.
All right. First off, Ubisoft has shut down XDefiant. That's your story. Go ahead and talk about it.
Oh, okay. Well, XDefiant is basically their Call of Duty that came out, I think, earlier this year or late last year, to not bad reviews. A lot of people said, hey, this is actually a good playing game and kind of makes a lot of the little changes that a lot of people complain about with Call of Duty. But it just wasn't enough. And over the past several months,
nobody knew it came out. They made absolutely no effort to publicize this. They put absolutely no marketing behind it. It's like they put it out in order for it to fail.
When I eventually played it, it had been out for months. I had forgotten that it had released.
Yeah. And a couple months ago, there were rumors that it was going to shut down. But the game director said no. There were rumors that, oh, hey, dwindling player count, Ubisoft is going to cancel it, shut it down. They're going to Concord it. Let's turn Concord into a verb now.
Yes.
They're going to old yeller this thing.
Old yeller.
And the director came out and said, no, this isn't true at all. Cut to a couple months later, and he is the one putting out the statement that no, we're going to shut it down. And from what it sounds like kind of reading between the lines of the message, it sounds like when he said, no, they're not planning to shut it down months ago, that was true. He was being honest. It's just a month later, Ubisoft changed its mind.
Right.
And it kind of shows like, yeah, all these live service games, you can turn on a dime, right? Yeah, you can say a month
With
ago.
Ubisoft, you can. You have
Yeah.
no idea. It's
Oh no,
almost like
okay.
they
No,
want to fail.
I mean all live service games. Like you can
I guess
say
so, yeah, live
at a
service.
certain point, we are in this for the long haul. We are going to keep this game going, and then a month later, go actually no.
Well, this is the problem with that whole Me Too live service. We want another live service game. Is that if it doesn't hit immediately because they have so much unrealistic expectations, they abandon it. And the thing is that games like this need a little bit of time for people to come over. They need to have an investment, but they're not invested in the game. They never wanted to make this game. They don't care about the game. Well, they only care about how much it makes day one. And if it doesn't make money day one, they're pulling the plug.
I think that like when suits, like executives come up with the idea for these live service games, there's an opportunity cost they expect, like a return on, right? Like they're like, okay, we're going to put a ton of money into this, but we expect like Destiny level returns, like the huge swaths of money.
Level returns. Wait a minute.
Mindset of all those people that tried to make MMOs after World of Warcraft came out. It's like World of Warcraft, yeah, it came out and it made a lot of money, but they put a lot of work in it. B, they already had a lot of people already interested in it from the EverQuest world, and C, they were the first to market doing this. It was novel. So of course, if you're going to have to pull people away from something, you got to give it time enough for people to get word of mouth that, hey, I like this better.
See, I think it was kind of doomed from the start because you weren't one of those first waves.
Because Ubisoft's making it.
If you're not part of the first wave, you're not going to be part of it at all.
No, and these games take so long to spin up that, I mean, we're going to use Concord as an example. Concord was in development for like 7 years, which would have been right at the peak of like live service games. And I don't know, the market is not the same from 7 years ago. No one wants that. No one wanted it. And I think we're too entrenched. As someone put it, like each live service game is essentially an MMO, and no one wants to be playing 4 MMOs at once. Like that's not how that works.
Can't.
Yeah. In the chat,
they might do it, but you're going to be in the same situation as you're not going to be playing it enough, and then they might shut it down on you.
In the chat, Awkward Minds, which I don't think we've seen before. Welcome.
Hey.
Mentioned that from the beginning they were calling it, trying to hype it up as a Call of Duty killer, which is never like the right way to sell a game, because that puts way too much weight on it.
Right. Yeah. If you don't get into it and go, I kind of like Call of Duty better, then all of a sudden it's like, well, it's crap.
Yeah. Also, he has a good question. What are they going to do with Roller Champions?
I'm pretty sure.
I actually really like that game, but I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea what's going on with that game. But the game was cool. Did they shut it down already? Aw.
They're done with it. It's kind of funny. When people think of the live service games, they often bring up Resident Evil, Rainbow Six Siege, because that's kind of their big one. You know, I'm out there rooting for For Honor. For Honor has my love, and everyone forgets it. It is the stepchild.
I am
no one cares
that game is still around.
That's talk about that is the difference between somebody making a game who wants to make that game and somebody who wants to make a game that is a whatever clone or a whatever killer.
Yeah.
So did either of you ever? Sorry.
Wait. Awkward Mind says, "I'm not new. I've been here since the Spreaker days."
You need to speak up more then.
Thank you. I retract my welcome and instead, thank you for sticking around.
Thank you for sticking.
Thanks for being here. So did either of you play X Defiant?
No, I didn't. I wanted to try it out. I know Remedy made a single player campaign for it that's on Game Pass, and I wanted to play that.
I didn't know that. I tried it. It was okay. There was nothing like it was fun, and maybe the free to play would have helped. And we'll get into why I think what happened was dumb with them shutting it down. But when comparing it to Call of Duty, right? I think with Call of Duty, you have all these weapons, you have all these unlocks, and you're constantly inundated with serotonin from progression.
Mm-hmm.
That if I want to switch to shotguns or to some other kind of weapon and change up what I'm doing, that's easy. I have all these other game modes that I can play, and I don't really have to worry about my teammates, even in teammate-based games. It's kind of always been the draw to Call of Duty for me. This game felt slower with its unlocks. It felt like I wasn't able to change my playstyle drastically. Like, even switching from one sniper rifle to another in Call of Duty can feel different, like recoil, damage, all of that, or an assault rifle. Whereas you only had like one or two assault rifles, or you had an SMG or two SMGs. I think that it kind of hindered its progress. I don't think it could have ever been a Call of Duty killer because it really wasn't trying to do that. It had its own like objective-based gameplay that, while Call of Duty has it, I don't think that's the draw of it. That makes sense?
Yeah. It was trying to do... I think it kind of made the same mistake Concord did, in that the new thing that it brought to the table was so like minor and such like a difficult, unless you're really into this game, that you can explain how that new mechanic changes the way you play. Like Marvel Rivals, hey, look, you got your heroes that can team up and do cool stuff. It's a very easy elevator pitch. When your difference, when the thing that makes you unique is such like a minor little mechanical twist that you can't pitch in an elevator to an average person, then like how do you sell that game? It's much harder to sell.
Not only that, but like I think the pitch being that, hey, here's all of these characters from our awesome franchises, right? Rainbow Six, not Blacklist, but Splinter
Black
Cell.
Panther.
No, not Black.
Yeah, Splinter Cell.
Splinter
Sam
Cell.
Something.
Rainbow Six. Like, you have all these franchises, and the only one that's really going right now is Rainbow Six. Like, they have 6 different like military-esque IPs that they're playing with.
Yeah.
None of them are being used by Ubisoft. Like, what are you doing?
It's the crypto bros in Yves Guillemot's ear telling him that he can't make anything other than Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six and things like Rainbow Six and Far Cry.
And I do want to say, like, probably its biggest failing is the fact that it was locked behind the Ubisoft store. And it's the thing that they're coming to terms with now.
Yeah.
Which is, that has been such a stupid mistake for them. And X Defiant never had a chance to live because it wasn't on Steam. And Ubisoft did not want to give up 30% of all of their profits from the game to Steam to increase their player pool drastically. If this game had come out on Steam, I think we'd be having a different conversation. It may not be like, I don't think it'll beat Call of Duty, obviously, nothing ever will, but you could have a much larger player base. Substantially.
Yeah, I think they didn't they recently put Outlaw out on Steam, didn't they?
Yes, and then I heard reports that like they wanted to remove steamdb.info, which tells you all the player numbers.
I did see that.
They're like, no, don't show people our numbers.
Because they keep making like live service games that get low numbers. Yeah, like I saw them talking about that with Skull and Bones too, how the Ubisoft launcher requirement kind of hampered that one.
Yeah.
I think what happened was 3 months ago, 4 months ago, whenever that first like, hey, we're not closing down came out. Like you said, Edie, they meant it. It was 100% honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the stuff with Assassin's Creed happened. And they went into restructuring.
Well, not just Assassin's Creed, with Outlaws.
Well, yeah.
When that game didn't set the world on fire, when that game came out and just did okay.
Well, then they saw the writing on the wall that Assassin's Creed Shadows was going to tank. Right. I do not think that game would have even done okay for the most part. Maybe as an entrenched IP, I don't know.
I think has an entrenched IP, has a location people have been asking for decades. That would have sold very, very well.
I think it would have gotten nothing but bad PR, though. I do not think there would have been. It would have been a bunch of people going, this is okay, and everyone else going, this is ass for so many reasons.
It's hard for me to think like what the reception will be, because I think so much of the talk around that game has been poisoned by bad faith actors that are just racist against Yasuke. Okay. And so it's hard for me to even imagine what the reception of that game will be like.
I agree that happened, but I saw somebody break down the trailer of like the game for the whatever one they put out recently, and there is so many little things wrong with that trailer in such a way that is indicative of a larger problem with the game. Clipping, placement of buildings, like there's so much that just felt cheap, like someone took an Assassin's Creed asset bundle and threw it into Unreal 5 and made some stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't feel quite as thought out.
And then you got stuff like the collectible edition having the broken down Torii gate. For like, these games are supposed to entrench themselves in the culture and like get to understand and know what it means to make a setting here. Like they always make a point of like Valhalla, going to like Nordic Iceland and like seeing the history there. And then they have a collectible edition with a broken like
that was an unfortunate
they should know better.
Thing. That was bad.
Culturally insensitive. When you're dealing with cultures, you have to be culturally sensitive. And it's like they forgot, or it's like, because they always were in the past, done a pretty good job of that. But I think, honestly,
very good.
I think that it, I may be wrong, this is the only Assassin's Creed. I take it back. The first Assassin's Creed was dealing with a non-white culture. But not since then have they dealt with a non-white culture. And I think that might have something to play with it.
I guess you could say Assassin's Creed 3 had something like that, but that was very American. So like you kind of brush that aside.
Right.
It's not about being culturally sensitive.
I
think Origins. A right term.
Origins was Egyptian.
Oh, true.
True, but there's I think that the current Egyptian people of Egypt they recognize their past, but I don't think that they see the people that built the pyramids as their ancestors. Maybe they do. I could be wrong, but Japan is very, very, very in touch with its past, more so than many, many other cultures.
We'll also consider, for instance, with Egypt, we're talking 3,000 years. Thousands of years ago. We're with Japan, we're talking 400, 500 years ago. Like,
and specifically, like the whole controversy of the Torii Gate it has to do with recent history. Like the controversy was because it was destroyed. It's a symbol of World War II.
Yeah.
Not ancient history. We're not talking about ancient controversies.
Right.
We're talking about modern political controversy, essentially.
Is this
as modern as you can get in history?
This is the most modern setting for I think Black Flag, I guess.
Victorian England.
More, so.
There's also Victorian England.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That would be the 1900s. Okay, great.
I want to throw in that like cultural sensitivity. I don't think it's the right word here. I think you need like cultural honesty with yourself if you're making something like this.
Cultural honesty. That's a very much more accurate word for it. Yes.
And like getting people from said culture who like care and you want to make something authentic. Mm-hmm. And this definitely doesn't feel very authentic with a lot of the things that they did.
Right.
Like someone pointed out that like clan symbols on flags, for instance, had their symbols cut off, and apparently that's a huge that's disgraceful to have your clan symbol appear like halfway on a flag, because you wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That is your family. Like this was from somebody who like a Japanese historian who was talking about this kind of stuff, and all of this kind of didn't give good vibes about what was to come with the release.
And you set this up as, you know, it probably would not have had such, I mean, always some of these things would obviously have rankled. But the fact that there is a recent game in memory in this setting that was culturally honest, which was Ghost of Tsushima.
No, but it wasn't.
It didn't do anything. Let's say it didn't do anything to offend people.
But, and that's why I find a lot of the talk around this game so frustrating, is because Ghost of Tsushima came out before the internet kind of got super toxified with bad faith actors.
True.
Because Ghost of Tsushima is just straight up going, yo, we just want to make something that looks pretty. Like, yeah, there's some historical accuracy, but like, that game was not trying to be historically accurate. That game was stylized in a way that was very, very obvious. And I think, if anything, maybe the flaw of Assassin's Creed is that it's trying to be accurate, and they're not just coming out and saying, this is an adaptation of history.
Actually, here's the thing.
It's okay to break and play around with things and not be super accurate in the name of entertainment.
They did actually come out and say that, but
yes, the fact that like that doesn't gain more traction, I think shows how much of this controversy is driven by bad faith actors, because it shouldn't matter.
I think though that Assassin's Creed, whether they want to say that or not, is hampered with that as a like I don't have the right word for it, but like when people think of Assassin's Creed, they almost think of historical fiction. Like they don't consider it like fantasy, even if like they go, yeah, this is like entertainment fiction. It's not meant to be accurate. People kind of expect it to be.
Yeah, but it's fiction. And I'm sure that the setting is going to be a fascinating recreation of this historical location. But it's like at a certain point, the diversions that they take, and not counting like the PR stuff, like the Tory Gate or things like that, like,
or the fake Japanese that they sent to Japanese creators, like that just meant nothing.
Yeah, like look, at a certain point, we need to separate the development team from the PR team. I'm sure the development team is frustrated with a lot of those things that PR is doing, because the development of these games have always been pretty consistently good with all the history stuff. And when they do take diversions, they're for entertainment reasons.
When I think of like, I haven't played Origins or Valhalla or Odyssey for that matter.
Really? Didn't play Valhalla?
No, I mean, I didn't play any of like the new systems. Haven't they been like more fantastical than ever before? Like they seem to be leaning more into the fantasy than ever before.
The historical locations are still like, no, we want this to be like we want it to be a cool historical playground for you to run around and explore. The like story that ties everything together has gone in absolute batshit crazy direction.
Right.
Like
and I don't think anybody's having any issue with the story.
Yeah, no one cares about like the Zeus and Juno.
And nobody
like,
in Japan has any issue.
Who cares? It's
nobody is having any issues with the characters. Nobody, as far as I can tell, is having any issues with the story. It is in this playground, this historically significant or historically quote unquote accurate playground, that is where the offensive things have happened, and because they did not do their research and did not, I think, value the fact that they are working within a culture, within a setting where there are people that very much care about certain things.
And I'm like, as I've always done, I'm gonna push back and say I think a lot of the controversies are either based in PR and not development of the game itself, and so don't necessarily reflect on the game itself, and are blown up by people who just want to hate on the game because it's got a black guy in it.
It's probably a little bit of both. It's probably somewhere in the middle. They screwed up, and there's also a lot of trolls out there that are trying to hate on it.
I agree with you. I've seen a lot of bad faith arguments, and I decided to try to look deeper into this game, and I was not impressed with what I was seeing outside of all of the arguments.
And that's good. And that's good.
And I brought this up initially with Steam. So months ago, I think they were telling the truth that XDefiant wasn't going to shut down. But with their restructuring and how they're going to come out with everything on Steam, I think they sat down, looked at XDefiant, and went, do we want to put into the work to make sure that this runs on Steam? Do we want, because we're putting everything on Steam now, do we want to port this? And they decided the work wasn't worth the payoff of potentially coming to Steam. That would be my guess why they decided to shut it down when they thought it was going to stay open, because the landscape has
that makes a
changed
lot of
for
sense.
And kind of moving on, because there's more than one.
There's a ton of Ubisoft stuff to talk
about. Talking about shutting things down, Ubisoft is shutting down its San Francisco offices and laying off hundreds of people. They announced that last week or the week before? Because one of those, it was the beginning of December, so it was just last week, or actually it was this week. They are shutting down both the San Francisco and the Osaka studio. And
do those have to do with XDefiant?
Yes, it had to do with the XDefiant. The closure of XDefiant does mean, this is out of a article from the San Francisco Chronicle. It said that the shutdown of XDefiant did mean the end for Ubisoft San Francisco studio. That's where most of XDefiant's development took place. It was here in SF, and approximately 143 employees were impacted by the shutdown, and an additional 134 layoffs were expected in both Osaka and in Sydney, Australia. So that is 100% had to do with XDefiant being shut down. But the XDefiant being shut down meant that Ubisoft is shutting down its San Francisco studios. So they're out of the city, which is kind of weird that I'm going to be driving by the Ubisoft building that's not going to have Ubisoft on the side of the building anymore.
It's not looking good for Ubisoft, man.
No. And kind of going to that, we've talked in the past that there's more than just rumors. It's pretty, I think, understood that Tencent is sniffing about, seeing if it can purchase Ubisoft. And everybody's been kind of watching that. Like, is this going to happen?
It's private right now, owned by the Guillemot family. I can't say it like you can.
It's public, but I think they own a controlling.
They own the controlling share. They own 51% of the company.
Because you can buy stock.
Yeah.
Someone owns
someone lost $15,000 on that transaction.
Who was that?
I have no idea. Somebody did.
Should have bet against them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were making money for a little while, but interestingly enough, there are a lot of discussions about what the heck is going on behind closed doors regarding the sale. And there's a report coming out from Bloomberg, which, we have to trust Jason Schreier because he's usually pretty good. Actually, it was Jason Schreier that said that, that to be clear, Tencent already owns 10%, interestingly enough, of Ubisoft. And according to Jason Schreier in Bloomberg, he was the one that kind of linked that there's looking for ways that Ubisoft was talking with Tencent to see if there were ways that they could stabilize the company, meaning buying a little bit more, if not all. And those discussions have said to have included the possibility of Tencent and Ubisoft teaming up to take the company private. And that was said to be at a very early stage. Now, this news story, the rumors report that was published last Friday, they claim that Ubisoft shareholders, which I would imagine is the shareholders and not the Guillemot shareholders, are considering how to structure a possible buyout of the company without reducing the Guillemot family's control. And Tencent has said that, yeah, no. If we're gonna do this, we don't want the Guillemot family running things. We kind of want a little more control. So that makes absolute sense, given that Ubisoft is very much flailing financially, flailing structurally, laying people off, closing studios, shutting down games, converting everything from their own platform to Steam because they made a horrible mistake. It does not surprise me that Tencent is like, we'd really like to take this private, meaning we buy you, but we're going to need a little more control. Tencent is notoriously hands off of the studios that it purchased. In this case, I don't think they want to do that because they're unlike the other times, they're actually buying a failing publishing studio.
Yeah. Well, imagine they'd still be hands off with someone else in charge.
Right.
And it's so interesting because, The Dark Knight has that one quote that is just forever true. You die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Mm-hmm. I remember way back when Ubisoft was fighting a takeover of the venue.
And we were rooting for them.
Because we're like, Ubisoft is a family-owned game company. They're putting out all these interesting and daring and thematically interesting games. Yeah. And here comes this big old conglomerate trying to take them over. And it's just so interesting to look at.
And then that conglomerate failed. And then they bought the conglomerate. It's like, yes, you go, girl.
It's the David
little
and
guy
Goliath
not only
story.
wins, the little guy takes over. That was such a big yes for the gamers. They understand.
Yeah.
And then
it's all right, Ubisoft can stand on its own now. It doesn't have to worry about being taken over. And then just
ever since then,
years and years of just a slow downhill until now. Hey, maybe we should be taken over. Maybe we should be taken over.
Yeah.
And maybe we should get the Guillemots out of there.
Maybe we should actually make the Guillemots finally leave.
Oh yes. And
it's amazing. So
put the scene in chat, put the link.
Yeah, you either die here or you're long enough to thank you for the link for that scene.
I had someone point out something interesting that I hadn't really considered. You hear all the stories about how long it takes to make games, right? The extended development times. And then you look at Ubisoft. Think about how many games, big budget games that they come out with and the regular cadence for which they do that. And you have to wonder, what, obviously at this point we're hitting a tipping point, I think, of quality. But something is taking the hit, right? Outlaws is huge. It's a big AAA game. Shadows is huge. Valhalla came out 4 years ago. There's a 4-year jump between Valhalla and Shadows. And I don't know, what the development timeline looked like on Shadows.
Yeah.
But no game is, making a big budget game like Shadows in 4 years anymore.
There's and they put this out a long time ago. I'm going to share my screen. This basically development timeline, and you can see that the gray is Assassin's Creed 1, then the red is Assassin's Creed 2, and you can kind of see the vertical up and down are the development teams, and then the horizontal is the years. And so you can kind of see, after Assassin's Creed 2 really took off, they started making Assassin's Creed 3, but then at the same time, they started making like Assassin's Creed Revelation, and then at the same time, they started making Assassin's Creed 4, and like by the time they get to 3 and 4, they're working on like multiple games at the same time.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think they've definitely slowed down. Like, remember, Assassin's Creed used to come out yearly. So they've definitely slowed down, but I imagine like they were working on probably Odyssey, Valhalla, and Shadows at like kind of around all the same time. In fact, when they announced Shadows, they announced like 3 other Assassin's Creed games too. There was a Hex, like Ubisoft Hex something that they're working on. There's the whole like live service Infinite thing that they're working on.
Right.
They're doing a lot.
Well, they came out with a whole battle royale game that came out, and I never got the chance to play because I forgot it existed, and then it got shut down.
Oh yeah, yeah.
By the way, Forget Your Life has, I think, the winning comment on this. The best thing about Ubisoft games is they're $20 2 weeks after launch. You're not wrong.
Yeah, they've trained their player base to be like, I'll wait 6 months because it'll be 40% off.
Right, exactly.
Or it'll come to Steam and like
or well, here's the thing. Maybe that's why they're shutting all these things down. Is it's like, oh, you're gonna wait 6 months? Okay. Let me show you what your 6 months gonna look like, baby. We're gonna shut it down 4 months after we launch.
It's a shame because they're sitting on really good IPs, which I mentioned before. Like, I would love to see another Division game. Like, I'd love to see that series come back.
I mean, I keep hearing that they're working on some Division thing. I feel like they've been working on a Splinter Cell game for the past 20 years.
So can we talk about a game that is a great IP that they've been working on for 20 years, and I can't wait for it to come out.
It won't come out.
About that?
No, we can't because it doesn't exist.
No, that game doesn't. It's not real, Edie.
It's real.
Not real.
It's real. It's real, fuckers. It's real.
It is a collective hallucination. That's all it is.
It is the only thing that they're using to get people to hopefully say they're not going to get bought out. Like, it's not real, Edie. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's real.
No.
Nope. Nope.
They were coming out with Division Heartland.
It's real.
Yeah, what was Division Heartland?
Let's remind ourselves how real it is. It's that real.
No. Let's. So, okay, you're talking about Division Heartland?
I don't even know where she went. She's gone.
I muted her and removed her.
Oh, okay.
But I can't stop the video.
You still muted her?
Edie, you were muted. Whatever you said, you'll have to say again.
It's real.
And this looks like just a fan-made trailer.
Or am I really okay? All
right.
No, yeah, you're good. Yeah, this is just a fan-made trailer. This isn't real. It's
not a fan-made trailer. It's real.
Yeah, it is.
Listen, all the people who worked on this trailer no longer work at that company. It's a fan-made trailer.
At this point, yeah, I guess it would be a fan-made trailer.
No, Heartland was a free-to-play division that they were developing. Takes place in the Heartland. They released a beta for it, which I tried, and it seemed like a pretty functionally complete game.
Yeah.
And then they canceled it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they did.
Yeah, they decided that, guessing the opportunity cost, once again, was not worth the effort of trying to maintain what was going to be Heartland. It's beyond real. That's fantastic.
It's not beyond real. It's real. It's real. It's real now real.
So yeah, I mean, Division 3, they have Ghost Recon, which they haven't used since the last one, which I forget the name of.
Wildlands?
No, it's the other one. Breakout?
Drive Club.
No. Oh, they do have Drive Club.
Ghost Recon.
It was the sequel to Wildlands. Anyways, Splinter Cell, of course, which I mentioned. I love Splinter Cell. I think the last one was Blacklist, though.
It was, and that's old.
Yeah, but they keep bringing Sam Fisher back in Rainbow Six and X Defiant. Like, what are you doing?
Why don't you just release a Sam Fisher game?
Yeah. Oh, well, I imagine that has a company that has kind of gone deep into like the live service ongoing game. Like, to not even say live service, let's just say ongoing game. the idea of a standalone story-driven stealth game. I'll bet Gimo is like, yeah, no, we can't make that. That doesn't sell. You can't make that type of single-player game anymore because there's no way to easily monetize it outside of the single player, which is also not true because Splinter Cell had a multiplayer mode that was, by all accounts, really well received back in the day.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
Yeah, you can do that again.
Also had a co-op mode, which not related to that. It's basically single player, like story-based stuff. That was such a good game. I loved Blacklist. You may not guess it, but I am personally hurt by Ubisoft for having not come out with another game in the past 10 fucking... No, sorry. Let's not get demonetized. It's fine.
Oh, no, you can curse.
You can curse. Why wouldn't you curse? It's a family show. Families curse.
I was just playing it up. Like,
yeah.
No, I mean, I'm assuming they're working on another maybe Watch Dogs game. I'm looking through their
Oh,
catalog.
I hope not.
No. What about Far Cry 7?
I've actually heard really cool things about Far Cry 7.
Breakpoint. Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Oh, yes. No, I heard rumors that like Far Cry 7 was going to have a timed campaign that was kind of similar to the first Dead Rising. Dead Rising? The one in the mall with Frank West?
Yeah.
Is that Dead Rising? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Something similar to that, where like you're gonna have a time limit, and so you have to like go off and do side quests, but you're gonna get quests from people that are gonna tick down as it goes over time, and that's a really cool idea. It's something different instead of just remaking the same game over and over again in different locations. So yeah, I'm interested in Far Cry.
It's kind of funny, like when I tried the level creator in Far Cry 3, it's felt like every game has been made in that level creator since.
What's funny is I've heard people talk about Stalker 2 and how like, oh yeah, it's a cool game, but it's kind of janky. And they've always compared it to Far Cry 2. And I fucking loved Far Cry 2. That is my favorite game in the series by far. That game was awesome. And so to hear Stalker 2 be compared to Far Cry 2, my instinct is I need to go play that. I need to see that like cool, weird, compelling jank.
Yeah. I was gonna play Stalker 2, but I ended up holding off. It's not important. But Ubisoft.
Yeah. Ubisoft had a hell of a time. Anyways, there was other stuff that happened. What was some of the other news that
let's continue on with news. Let's see.
Edie was checking out.
Yeah, no, I was actually checking my fantasy team, my fantasy football team.
Oh, yeah, let's see. How am I doing? Well, I was losing an hour ago.
Yeah, no,
Oh, shit, we're winning.
Good. I love fantasy football for that reason. You can take your eyes off and everything changes. All right, so Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which is the next game that I'm very, very excited for. They actually made an announcement early this week, that they were already planning on releasing mid-February, and they have actually changed their release date to move it forward a week because February is a stacked month, and they did not wanted to be farther away from the launches of Civ 7 and Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't think Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to affect them as much as they think they will, but they tactically decided to move it to a week earlier.
They also got Monster Hunter and
Just gonna say, Forget Your Life was talking about Far Cry 2 and said, I died of malaria holding that stupid map in front of my face too much to enjoy Far Cry 2. that is why I love that game.
So yeah, here's what's coming out in February, and I'm reading the list now. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Avowed, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, Monster Hunter Wilds, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Civilization 7, and Tomb Raider 4 through 6 remastered.
Is that in order?
In 1 month.
Is that in order?
I don't know if that is in order. Let's take a look.
Because
Originally, well, just so you know, our Kingdom Come Deliverance was originally scheduled to be on February 11th. They've now moved it to February 4th.
Yes.
So the beginning of the month.
And I think that was a very, very smart, clever move.
Yeah.
Because
by the way, February 11th is when Civ 7 comes out. February 14th is when Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out. So it's actually moving forward from all of these games.
And you know why I think that was a brilliant idea?
Mm-hmm.
Because the argument, we want to give these games some space. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to be a massive game. It's going to take you several hundred hours to play. You're not going to beat that game in 2 weeks.
No, you are not.
But you will be in the middle of that game in 2 weeks.
And nobody is going to leave that game for Assassin's Creed
Shadows. That's why I believe they pushed it forward.
Or Civ 7. They're like, I've got the rest of the year to play Civ 7.
Yeah, I think they pushed it forward because they knew, like, most people don't play like a dozen things at a time. They kind of have one game, they play it for a bit, maybe they'll move on to something else. That's why it's so hard to tear people away from live service games, because they have the game they're playing. If they move the date forward, Deliverance becomes the game for February, and everything else then has to compete against Deliverance for your time.
Yeah, and I think that Monster Hunter Wilds has a chance of pulling people away.
I think that one does the most because it's such an established IP.
Yeah,
with a lot
nobody's
of
going to be pulled away by Tomb Raider. Nobody's going to be pulled away by Shadows. They're going to try to, but it's not going to work.
I think Avowed has a pretty chance to like. Avowed has a pretty good chance.
Avowed has a pretty good chance, and so does I think Pirate Yakuza. Just because it's Pirate Yakuza, it is the Ubisoft game we wanted that we never got from Ubisoft. I think.
But I'm pretty sure that Pirate Yakuza game is only gonna last. Like, I think they even said like there's a week's worth of content if you really go hard on it. Like,
exactly. You might walk away from Kingdom Come Deliverance just to play and finish Yakuza, and then go back to Kingdom Come.
Like Avowed as well. I've heard is on the shorter side.
Right.
It's a 30-hour RPG, not a 100-hour RPG.
Right. So yeah, that was very, very, very smart of them. And I have a fantastic amount of anticipation for this game because I think there's a lot of times I'm hyped for games. I really, really feel that Kingdom Come Deliverance is the game that I can buy the collector's edition.
Don't buy the collector's edition. You will curse
and I know it's going to be fine.
You will curse it.
It's going to be fine. I think it would be the game that would break my curse.
I used to look forward to games, and then I realized that every single time I did, something went wrong, and now I hate games, all of them.
You just hate them all.
Any new game coming out, I'm just like, oh, that looks fun. It's gonna be unplayable at launch. Yay!
There is a lot of like, hey, even if it comes out and it's good, there's probably a lot of bugs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be
true. It's like, you know what? I've heard good things about it. I'll wait a couple weeks before playing it.
Yeah, no, not me. I'm gonna be there. So, is there a collector's edition?
Oh God. Well, she's looking that up.
You're gonna find out.
Good things to play that I'm actually looking forward to playing, and that I might actually play day one, is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Yeah,
because that's been getting a lot of good reviews, like more than I thought it would.
I'm a little surprised too, to be honest.
Yes, because like, Xbox has kind of had an okay run, and even the stuff that they've put out that's gotten really good reviews hasn't really hit big. But by all accounts, the game is really good, and it does a lot of fun, adventurous things. It's not like a first-person shooter. It's more of an adventure game, and that's kind of what I wanted. So that might actually be a game I played day one. There aren't many of those.
What game?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
heard good things.
It's reviewing well. Like Microsoft might have like a genuine big gaming hit.
I think they made a point of like not letting you shoot guns at all, or if not often.
Oh God, Edie!
I am so down for this. We got a statue. We got cards.
You
we
know
got
what?
a letter of hope.
My excitement for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 just plummeted because I know it's gonna come out busted and broken and bad.
This one doesn't even include the game.
It doesn't? It doesn't include the game?
I have no
Oh,
idea.
it's out of stock. Of course, it's out of stock.
Oh, thank God.
It does include the game.
Okay. Wasn't there like a big old like $400 edition of something that didn't include the game?
Dragon Age: The Veilguard.
Veilguard didn't have it.
And someone
I still have the. I have two.
Yeah,
of
someone
them.
bought
If you
two.
want one, I have a collector's edition. I ordered two by mistake.
Only $18.05 a month, guys, for like I think
For
2
the rest
years.
of your natural life. Come on, who doesn't want this? This is awesome.
That's cool. I don't have enough shelf space for that though.
I might. Look at all this. We got pins. We got cards. We've got a doormat. I don't know. I'd buy that doormat. Yes, I am leaving soon. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anyways,
Anyway.
Indiana Jones is getting good reviews, looking good. Xbox
Okay,
might have like a genuine.
Let me explain something. Chris just came home.
Okay.
I had to mute because he's like, Path of Exiles 2, are we gonna play it? I'm like, oh yeah. He goes, okay. Finish up. So, Nick, Andrew.
Yeah.
Finish up.
So, Acolyte, have you seen it, Nick?
Oh my God. There's so much to
Acolyte?
talk about. So much to talk about. Although I haven't seen Skeleton Crew.
What are we talking about? Are you doing this thing that you do where you just decide to just like go off on a fucking tangent just to keep me here?
No.
No.
Yes.
We're talking about
Stop.
Honestly, I was burned so much by Acolyte that I've held off Skeleton Crew, even though I've.
Do you want to do a story? Because otherwise, I'm going to do my last story and then I'm leaving.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
go ahead. Go ahead.
The Thing Remastered came out. It had been like a game that had some amount of hype behind it because it was kind of a cult classic that's getting remastered. Didn't have a release date right up until it had a release date. That was like 3 days later, and I believe it's out now. I think it came out on the 7th.
Yeah, I think I saw that, like in the newly released thing.
Yeah, and it's just so weird that it just came and got dropped like with no fanfare.
No fanfare whatsoever.
And so I even though it's been released, I have no idea how well it is.
Currently with 290 reviews at 92% positive on Steam.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
And this is it right here that we're watching.
Apparently this game originally came out in 2002.
Yes.
Wow.
It came out a while ago.
Really? 22 years old.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was a cool idea for a game. It didn't quite work that well. But yeah, I'm like, hey, this is cool. Another thing to play. But I'm kind of upset that it got dropped so unceremoniously. Excuse me.
One person wrote a book in the reviews, so I'm not gonna read it all, but they don't recommend it. Mostly because I just think it's a bad game at its core, but it's a good remaster.
Okay, you know what? That's a fair argument.
Another person said crashes every 10 minutes.
Ooh.
One person said fix your game and I'll give you a thumbs up. Those are the only thumbs down reviews that I can see for it. So the rest are all positive.
Cool.
All right. So anything else?
Yes. Okay. Starbreeze. Starbreeze is also a publisher who has had a rough go of it lately. Specifically, Payday 2 came out and like really did set the world on fire, was hugely well supported for years. They came out with Payday 3, and it was very poorly received. It had like very bad server connection issues, and basically the whole thing just kind of bombed. And Starbreeze, which has also had its share of layoffs, announced that they are going to scale back the plans for year 2 of Payday 3. That this was a sequel that bombed so hard on release that they're kind of pulling back on the live service aspect of it.
And it's a shame because apparently everyone says the work they've been putting in the last year has been great and it's getting into a much better place that it should have been on release. And as soon as like they were getting hyped for this again, they released this. They were basically like, yeah, all that excitement you were having, all the momentum we were building, yeah, don't think that's going to continue. We're literally stopping.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I played a lot of Payday 2. If you haven't played it on PC, it is a ton of fun. And there's a reason that it still has like 20,000 people playing it right now.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
This game, I was very looking forward to this game. Once again, this is why I don't look forward to games anymore. It is only sadness. Like
you can get excited, just like temper the excitement and understand that everything will launch a little kinky.
Wrong. You can't.
Just like hey, you can be excited, but be excited for what the game will be like in a year.
Then I will be excited in a year. I was excited for Star Wars, the Jedi one, Survival.
Yeah,
the sequel.
Yeah,
that game is still in a bad shape on PC.
Oh, is it? I'd heard that I thought that it got updates that fixed a lot of things.
It got better, but it's still not really acceptable for like what it should be. Listen, this is just me being a depressive a-hole about games, okay? Like, we don't need to get hung up on that.
But yeah, in this case, it is unfortunate that the game was just kind of getting kneecapped to kill what momentum that it had going forward.
Because like I said, there was a lot of people who were getting excited for the game.
Yeah. Forget Your Life says, get excited for what Half-Life 3 will be like.
True. On a side note, I don't know if you guys mentioned this in the last podcast you did, but my buddy just logged onto Steam on a game that you should pick up if you want a good game. Justice League Suicide Squad. The $100 edition was $5 on sale.
Oh.
So
I saw that they are still putting out content. They have what was it? Deadlock? One of those guys. That they're actually putting out a new hero for Suicide Squad, which is
they put out 3.
There's
4, maybe.
There's just like a tiny team of people, like one guy in a cubicle who just is putting out all the contractually mandated content for that game. They're like, but they have no one else. It's just like, oh yeah, we said we would release this character, so I guess we're just gonna release him, even though we know nobody's gonna play it, but we have to do this to keep appearances up.
Yeah, no,
that's
honestly, I don't think it's one person, but I do think that there was a contract in place for like the first year of content that they had to fill out. On a side note, Forget Your Life said, be excited for what Half-Life 3 will be like.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the documentary when they were going over like what happened with Half-Life 3?
I didn't, but I read about what they had said.
Do you guys talk about it on the podcast at all?
No, we didn't. That kind of came out in the in-between times.
So they came out with like the part 2, Half-Life 2 part 2. And it became an all-hands-on-deck thing to finish Left 4 Dead 2. Mm-hmm. So no one could work on Half-Life 2, or Half-Life 3, really. And by the time they finished Left 4 Dead 2, they didn't want, like they had thought they had missed their window because no one would be excited for Half-Life 3 anymore. And it just kept getting farther and farther away. And they also didn't want to make Half-Life 3 because they felt like it would be pointless because they couldn't bring anything new to the industry with Half-Life 3. So like just finishing the story, no one cares about that. They want to be able to bring something innovative to gaming, and there's no point to continue that story unless they can do that. And yeah, I never played the Half-Life games, but heard nothing but love.
Yeah, I played them. I was never like a biggest fan of all of them. I thought they were good games, but I was never like deep into that. But yeah, it sounds like what people have speculated about for years is kind of true, that they were a victim of their own success, and like they had momentum and then they lost the momentum and they were just never quite able to get it back.
Maybe from the developmental standpoint, but like on the fan base side of things.
Oh, the fan base, yeah. They were all excited.
It's still a meme. It's a meme 20 years later. Like they had some like pre-development footage of it, and they were gonna have, it was gonna take place in the Arctic, and they were gonna have an ice gun that you could like make ramps and slide around like Iceman, like as you were running. And that would have been cool.
Yeah. I think Half-Life Alyx was their attempt to kind of get back into things. And I thought that they said in that story that they want to do more with Half-Life. They just kind of need to get over themselves and get back to it. And I think Alyx was their attempt at that.
And I did play Alyx, and that game is fun. It's kind of nuts. Have you played it?
I haven't yet. I can. I have the PC adapter for the PSVR headset. So it might not be the best way to play it, but I can at least do it in theory. But like that's them just trying to do something with the IP, which I commend them for doing it. It'll be interesting to see if they do anything else with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Never count on Steam to do anything. Like, not that they're bad, just they have their own plans, and their plans are not swayed by the public.
Yes, because they don't need to. They have all the money in Steam. They don't kind of need to be rushed into anything that they don't want to do, which, for better or worse, means that if no one wants to push hard for Half-Life, you're not going to get it.
Interesting, Edie. Good takes.
Oh yeah, Edie, keep talking.
That's fucked up, Nick.
This is very mean. Okay. No, wait. I can't unmute the guest because they chose to mute them.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. How did we get from Half-Life to whatchamacallit to how did we get from Starbreeze to Half-Life?
I forget.
Okay.
You brought up something about Half-Life too.
Yeah. All right.
Half-Life.
Anyway. So I do have to go. So we do have to end this show because I have a very sick dog that I need to care for.
Oh my God! Again. Okay.
She managed to make it all the way from 2:00 to 4:30. So
sick dog. I say with quotations again. You guys can't see this, but I'm air quoting. It's PoE, guys, or it's Diablo 4.
Oh yeah, PoE.
No, it's not Diablo. It's a dog with mucoid diarrhea at the moment. So we need.
It's a good excuse, guys. Good excuse.
Would you like? Let's do. I've got.
I gotta go myself. You guys have a good one.
Let me do a search for mucoid diarrhea on YouTube. See what we got.
No, that's okay.
I have full of that in my life. I don't need to see any more of that.
All right. So, is there anything else you want to say before you wrap up the show? And we can say thank you to Andrew, to Creation Chaos, his very last show ever on GameHounds. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, anything else you want to say?
No, I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I am happy. I miss you, and I wish you were still around. And
it was a good last show.
Anytime that you want to be on the show, just let me know, and I will absolutely have you here. So you're always a joy.
Got to talk about the Acolyte.
Yeah.
That being said, let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds, episode 737. This is recorded on December 8th, 2024. I'm Edie Sellers, and with me is Nicola and Creation Chaos. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to get a hold of us, gamehounds.net is our website. Gamehounds@gmail.com is our email. We record the show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. On Facebook, we are facebook.com/GameHounds. On YouTube, we are GameHounds Vids, VIDS, all one word, GameHounds Vids. And on Twitch, we are the GameHounds. If you are watching in any of those places and you have not subscribed, please do so. That way you can get alerted for our show next week, because we are having a show next week. Also, thank you very much, AC Ray, for reminding us we are 100% Patreon funded, meaning it is your donations through Patreon, your sponsorship of us. It helps pay for all the systems that allow this to work. Multiple systems, and they all cost money. So thank you so much to everyone who does support this. And also, thank you to everybody who's listening on iTunes. I know there are a lot of you that didn't hear from us for a really long time because I was not uploading onto Libsyn to get you onto iTunes. I am sorry. I take full responsibility for that. Not happening again. You are getting them as soon as they render out of YouTube, and I can get that recording to you. So thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. And also, as was it Awkward Minds just did, thank you for joining our Discord. If you ever do want to know where our people are because we disappeared out of your life, the way to do it is to go to our Discord. Our Discord is not only full of just about everybody who listens to the show, but also Nick and me and Chaos. And right there on the screen is our Discord address. Just go ahead and hit that. Go there and join. If you can't find us there, you can find us in those links in the description at each of the places, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you next week. Have a great week, Nick. Have a great week, Andrew. We will see you then. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one. Yeah.
All right, we're out. So we're still on and things. Okay, everybody watching, thank you so much. I got to go deal with literal poopy dog right now, and she's just wandered off somewhere, and I need to know where she is. Nick,
just think of the poop as loot, and it will completely change how you approach picking it up.
Legendary ones have
so
like
right now she's a loot goblin. Right now, she's the equivalent of a loot goblin, that you just chase her around and she's just spreading loot everywhere.
Exactly. And doesn't that make it so much more exciting?
Yeah.
No.
You've got so much loot to collect.
Because you usually don't need to get a carpet cleaner to get the loot out.
It's loot with a side quest attached to it.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will talk to you next week. Bye.
Have a good one.